calls, but I'm so glad you were patient and waited and are able to join us tonight.
Katie, you're gonna have to make me a co-host.
Okay. Yep. All set. All right, we are in here. I'm joined by some of my colleagues here at Hill, and I will introduce them in just a minute. You can see them. They've got their smiling faces and their cameras on. They're waving. But before we get started, just a minute or two of housekeeping. It looks like everyone is already muted. Thank you for that. You are welcome to unmute yourselves if you have questions or comments. But if you could stay muted while the room is filling and while some of us are talking. This meeting will be recorded. So if you are interested in watching it back or have some friends or family that would want to see this Q&A, the recording will be available through the communications that you receive from Hill and will also be posted to the parent portal. So I'm going to share my screen here just very briefly so that we can just introduce ourselves a little more formally and let you know who is here on the call with us. So just to start our agenda, we'll just do some quick introductions, and then my colleague Bo Kim will just give an overview of the timeline, what you can expect as a new student at Hill, especially around course selection. That's really the main topic of our Q&A tonight is course selection and getting you all signed up for the courses that you want and need here at Hill. And then we'll open it up to questions. I know that while you're here, you probably all have questions, and we've got plenty of folks here who can answer them. So first of all, the academic office. I'm Katie Hudak. I am the academic dean. I have been here at Hill for 10 years, and I'm also a member of the English department. I teach English 1 and have for many years. So those of you who are incoming third formers might see me again next year as your English teacher. I'll let my colleague Bo Kim introduce herself, and then we'll introduce the others on the call.
Thanks, Katie. Hi, everyone. My name is Bo Kim. I'm the assistant academic dean. I have been here 13 years, and I am in the computer science department this year, teaching computer science 1. I do live on campus with my husband and recently graduated from Hill daughter. She'll be back home this summer in just a few weeks, so we're looking forward to having her back. Welcome, everybody.
The rest of the people on this slide are not joining us tonight, but you might hear from them here and there we in the run up to starting school in the fall. Kim Curcio is our learning support coordinator. We can talk a little bit more about learning support later in the call. Faye Schreck is our registrar and our director of student data. And you'll hear from her requesting some records and data later in the summer. And Sharon Claus is sort of the glue that holds us all together as the academic office coordinator. So those are the people who represent the academic office. We also have another group of folks here, and this is 3 department chairs. We have 10 academic departments here at Hill, but we've invited 3 department chairs to join us today because, especially for our new third formers, these are the department chairs of the departments that most of you will have some choice about what you want to do, whether or not you want to dip your toes in these departments over the next year and the ensuing years. And even for our new 4th, 5th, and 6th formers as well, you might have some questions. So I'll let each one of them introduce themselves, and we'll start with Elena.
Hi everyone. Hope you're all doing well. Definitely recognize some names and faces on the call from like revisit days and everything. So good to see you all here. I'm Miss Daphne, and I have been at the Hill School for 9 years now. I teach Spanish, but obviously can speak to a lot of the other languages that we offer, including Chinese and French. And then also I coach soccer and live in the dorm, help out with our strength and conditioning program as well. Glad to have you all.
Hi, everybody. I am Mrs. Lim. I'm the arts chair, and I want to welcome everyone to this call. I hope you will make time to take some arts classes as you start at Hill next year. I love that during the academic day that we offer lots of different kinds of arts classes. So I hope you will look through or ask me questions tonight. What you can take or anything about that. So welcome. I've been at the Hill. I'm finishing my 12th year, and two of my children also graduated. So I have experience as a parent as well as a teacher. So welcome.
Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Toomey. I'm the chair of the classics department. This is my 6th year at Hill, and I can speak to our amazing offerings in Latin and also Greek. You can join our department whether you've taken years and years of Latin. I know there are some Wincroft families on this call who would have taken Latin from 5th or 8th grade. Or if it's something you've never touched before. So I look forward to answering questions about our department, and I'm really glad to be here.
Thank you. And even though there are 3 departments represented here tonight, as I said, we do have 10 academic departments, and you're more than welcome to ask questions about math or science, or the other departments here at Hill, and we will try to get those answered. And if we don't, we can put you in touch with those respective department chairs. So we're going to start with just an overview of the timeline throughout May and June, and Ms. Kim will lead us through that timeline.
All right, great. Well, thank you and welcome again. This is our course selection timeline, and we have just kicked it off with you all last week. So last week, you should have received your first official welcome email from the academic office with your Hill School email address and instructions on how to activate that. Now, that is really the first critical piece and really necessary to kick off this whole process. So with that activation, you will get access to Canvas, which is our learning management platform. And that is really where you're going to want to really get familiar with that location, because all of our academic classes use Canvas in one way, shape, or form to share course information, to keep your grades, to have some communication, things like that. But for you all, for the first thing that you're going to do for Hill is you're going to take a couple of placement tests. And those placement tests are going to be critical for us and you to be able to start a conversation. And that conversation is going to really help us to be able to most appropriately fit you or place you, for lack of a better term, place you into the most appropriate level classes. And those classes mostly are math and science. Language is really important to have a placement test for. And it really gives us the information we need and the background information we need to, again, really be able to meet you where you are and to really be able to create a plan that is custom to you and where you're coming from. So that is all going to happen starting this week. So tomorrow, probably later in the afternoon for all of you who are on the west from the East Coast, tomorrow afternoon, you'll get your second email from the academic office, and that will give you all of the information you need to know about getting into the placement tests and which placement tests you're going to need to complete. So as I'm going through this, I'm just going to give you just a very high level overview, and then we can get into the specific questions and details as they arise. So for 3rd and 4th formers or incoming 9th and 10th graders, you're all going to do a math placement test and a language placement test for sure. Those are two that are required for our third and fourth formers. For fifth and sixth formers, we are going to ask you to do a language placement test if you are interested in placing into a language that's higher than level 1. And that is a really, really important piece of information. If you have never taken a language, we want to know that as well, but you don't have to go through the complete placement test. If you have taken a language and you want to continue, again, it's really important for us to be able to see where you are as far as the placement goes, and so that we can appropriately assess where you belong in our levels, because they can, just depending on the language or depending on the discipline, sometimes do differ slightly. And so that's very, very important. So that will be the week of the 11th, which is this week that we're currently in. And then the week after that, so the week of the 24th, will be the course selection kind of kickoff. So during that week, you'll get access to a course request form, and slightly different for each grade, because you'll find at Hill that we do a lot of conversations. We're going to have a lot of this back and forth, and we're going to really create a plan that is suitable for you and where you are. So third and fourth form, you'll have some choice in the courses that you select, but you will be pre-populated. So English, history for third formers, those will be pre-selected for you, because English 1, that is the English class for every third former that we have. 20th century history, that's the history class that all of our freshmen take. So those two courses you will automatically be enrolled in. The math and the language will be adjusted per your placement test. So those things do have some level adjustments that will go along with that. And again, that is all based on your input, your course selections, and ultimately your placement test results. Conversations, as I said, as course requests happen, conversations will happen between you and I. They may happen if you're an upper former, like a fifth or sixth former. You'll also have conversations with your college counselor. If you have other questions, you may have conversations with Dr. Toomey or Mrs. Lim or Ms. Dauphiné or Mrs. Hudak. It just depends, but we are all available to have those conversations to answer any questions that you might have specific to that discipline. So hopefully that all takes place within the month of May, and it feels fast, but at the same time, it's not. Because as you're finishing up your school year, we are just starting the onboarding process for our new families. And so we want all of that to kind of be in progress as we're going into the month of June, so that, again, those conversations can happen, adjustments can take place as necessary throughout the month of June, and then even into July sometimes. But hopefully by July, we have the majority of the information we need to be able to put all of that together for you. That was a lot that I just put out there, just as far as over the next 3 weeks, overall what's going to happen. So this week will be placement tests. Next week will be course requests happening. And then conversations continue again throughout May and then June. All of this is very, very detailed in the communication that will be forthcoming over the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, that's what I was just going to say.
Yeah.
I maybe should have mentioned this before Ms. Kim started, that all of this information that you're getting will be followed up with written communication from the school. So if you feel like you might have missed a detail here or there, not only do you have the opportunity to ask questions now, but all of this will be followed up, and you can find a lot of information on the parent portal as well.
And we really do talk you through step by step. It is not all at once. So again, this last week was your Hill School email activation. So hopefully you've all done that. I've had a couple of emails. Our ITS support is really fantastic. So if you have any issues, I can pull them in and we can work together to resolve those. This week again is the starting of our placement tests and just information around those. And then next week we'll start to dive into course requests and questions around those. So I'm
So I'm going to
pause.
stop sharing here now, so we're not blocked by that PowerPoint. And this is the opportunity for you all to ask the questions that are on your mind right now. If you have a question about your own specific situation, you're welcome to put it into the chat. We might answer that and privately. If you have something that isn't as private, or you don't want to share with other people, you can use the chat or you can email us. But any questions that you're willing to share, you're welcome to unmute yourselves, or you can drop things into the chat, so that we can take care of what's ever on your mind. I know it's a sort of a stressful and exciting time, and we want to smooth that. How long do the placement tests last? I think they're designed to probably take 20 to 30 minutes.
Yeah, it depends. I
Maybe.
think some might go a little longer, but I would absolutely reserve minimally 30. So the math placement test for third form is broken up into sections, so you can do one section at a time. But I would reserve total anywhere from about 30 to 45 minutes.
Elena, as the World Languages Department Chair, do you want to add anything there?
Yeah, no, I agree with that statement. We tried to give an estimate. There's no, there's no system that's going to lock the kids out if they, take a longer period of time. But ideally, they're doing it all in one sitting, with limited distractions, and that way we can get an accurate representation of where they are in their language of choice.
Yeah, great. The assigned student advisor will, in fact, yes, be in contact in June and July as you plan your schedule. I would encourage you to direct most of your questions about scheduling to the academic office. We're more than happy to help you with that, and your advisor is too. But if you find yourself with questions before you meet your advisor, you're more than welcome to reach out to us if it's something that's specific to academics. But yes, your advisor will be in touch soon. Knowing how to swim, yes, believe it or not, I'm not sure that's listed as a graduation requirement, but everybody does have to pass the swim test. That's one of our traditions here at Hill. It's one of our gifts. Making sure that all of our there's a really long, cool, we don't have time to get into it now, but there's a cool story when you come to Hill or meet your advisor. Ask to hear the story of why Hill has a swim test. It's a pretty good story. For a student that has already had 2 years of high school and is reclassing to fourth form, how does Hill look at her transcripts? Bo, you probably want to talk about that. We have those in our system.
Yeah. So we will look at your student as, what she's coming in with as far as her transcripts. But for the most part, we will ask your student to also go through the fourth form process. So fourth form placement test, she'll be in fourth form English, fourth form science, things like that. But if you come across courses that your daughter has already taken or your student has already taken, that is worth a conversation. And so I work very closely with department chairs for each individual student placement as well. So we have lots of flexibility as far as courses go. We don't necessarily want students to repeat the same class. So we will we'll take a look and we'll adjust or shuffle levels if we need to. Sometimes we've had students doubling classes to catch up. We do all kinds of different combinations, or just kind of take a look to see what makes the most sense given your students, history and what they've taken and what they're coming in with. As a fourth former coming in, they won't have a college counselor right away, but if you are interested, we could certainly talk through that as well.
Okay, I'm trying to answer some of these. Thank you, Yoon, for helping me out. Standardized tests, Ms. Lim has responded, PSATs and SATs. PSATs are required for all of our fourth formers. We have that here on campus. Other than that, I think that's the only required test that we give during the school day. The College Counseling Office will certainly encourage you to take either the SAT or the ACT. Even if you are sort of interested in the more test optional schools, they want you to have one of those tests. And you should save this conversation more for the college counseling, but I know that they do want you to take one of those college admission tests at some point in your Hill career when that becomes practical. Math placement is designated. The question is,
Right.
is math placement designated by grade or current level or in some other way? It is level. It is by level. Often that does correspond with a grade, but not always. I don't know if, Bo, you want to add anything to that? If there's more
Yeah, no,
detail.
that's perfect.
Yeah.
So if I'm reading it correctly though, if you're asking, do all third formers take the same placement test? Yes, that is. So all of the incoming freshmen will take the same placement test, sophomores take the same placement test. Yeah. And then we determined the level in that way.
AP honors courses are available to third formers. And again, that's going to rely on placement tests. The English course that all third formers take and the history course that all third formers take, as Ms. Kim said, is pre-selected. Those are not AP or honors courses, but placement tests will determine if those are the appropriate levels for third former or any other level, any other grade level. So yes. Are the admission tests or previous public school score need to be submitted? I don't
Is that like
know what that means.
SST score, SSAT scores? Is that
Denise
what you're
Phillips,
talking about?
do you want to unmute and explain? I'm not quite sure what this question means. Yeah, no, we don't have any public school tests that needs to be submitted. That's if you have a more detail about that, you're welcome to unmute. Course requests are due June 5th, but we won't have contact with advisors until after that date. Would like guidance on co-curricular requirements, clubs, etc.
And that's okay. Those are
Yeah.
conversations that if you have not connected with your advisor yet, I'm happy to be that contact. I have these conversations throughout the summer, and they are around not just course selection, but those co-curricular questions as well. The co-curricular selection is attached kind of at the end of our course request form. So a lot of times those conversations are in the same at the same time.
Yeah, do we have to take another placement test for a course selection? So just the one placement test. Yeah, just you will take one of the required placement tests. You don't need to take another one once you've decided which course you're going to take. I think that's what that question means. I already do all three sciences separately. As a fourth former, can I carry on doing all three, or am I restricted to one? Well, our integrated science it sounds like it might work for you if you're interested in trying to expressing interest in our integrated science program, which is a spiraled curriculum that includes all three of those big three sciences. So I would recommend that you look into that and look at the placement test, engage in the placement test for that. Bo, do you want to add anything to the science question?
Was that Arnav's question? I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing.
That question was
your name.
Arnav. Yep.
Yes. So I do want to say our integrated science curriculum is a 2-year curriculum. So we do for fourth formers, many times we will offer a double in science to kind of get you up to speed. So a lot of times, if you're reclassing as a fourth former, or if you've come in having had biology before, we may offer you chemistry, or I'm sorry, if you've come in with an integrated curriculum, like an integrated science as a fourth former, a lot of times we may offer you a full year of bio and chemistry at the same time concurrently, so that by the time you go into your fifth form class, you will have a full year of physics. So we do, unfortunately, we don't open the integrated science course for fourth formers. They are only, it's because it's a 2-year curriculum, we open it for third formers only. But as an incoming fourth former,
Oh,
we
that
can
was a
offer
fourth former.
you,
Sorry.
yeah, we can offer you other opportunities. Like I said, like doubling in bio and chem at the same time. And that really does cover both of those disciplines through the full year and get you back on track as a fifth former. So that's a really good way to get there if you are a science person.
Sorry, I'm answering questions and reading them at the same time. So I apologize for the
Yeah, no.
previous fourth former. Placement test similar to taking the SSAT, camera, no food, etc. No, we do not have those parameters that we require for the placement test. They are offered through Canvas, which many of you might know. That is our learning management system. If you don't know Canvas, please don't worry. It's very intuitive. But we don't have to, we don't require cameras or any of that sort of thing.
May I make a suggestion for
Yes,
the
please.
everyone who's here from Hill? If we could drop in our email addresses for families who might have questions after this call, or they might have other questions that they didn't ask during the call. So if we could just put our emails in there and for our families and students, I think that would be great. We have some really great
idea.
questions here.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to, Gia, you had asked a question about retaking the placement tests if possible. Thank you, Ms. Dauphiné. That's a great answer. I do also want to add to that, as Ms. Dauphiné said, please keep in mind it is diagnostic. For much of the placement tests, especially in math, we actually ask that you don't prepare because we want to know really where you are, without that preparation. So that is something that, as far as I know in math, there's like a little intro video. So I encourage you to watch that from our math department chair who gives just a little bit of a background and does encourage you to not study, in preparation for that placement test. So just another way to think about that.
Yes, and please, if I'm skipping some of these questions that I'm answering in the chat, you're more than welcome to unmute yourselves and ask it if it seems like I've passed it by. If I plan to take 2 languages, will I still have time to take an arts course? Sure, we have plenty of students who take 2 languages and take an arts course. You might have to be strategic about when that happens, but it certainly can happen. I don't know, Dr. Toomey, do you want to talk about 2 languages at all?
Oh, I just have a student in mind who's a sixth former who has been in orchestra. I think Miss Lim would be able to speak to this. I'm thinking about Lola, who takes both Latin seminar, French seminar as a senior, and is still in orchestra. So it's very doable, and also carries a very heavy course load. So
we also have students. I'm so sorry, Dr. Toomey.
No, I was just going to echo Katie's point that it takes a little bit of wiggle room, creativity with your advisor and with the academic office, but is very much something that you can do here.
Yes. And also we have students who are taking multiple arts classes. So I think depending on what the interests and strengths are for students, I think advisors and Ms. Kim and Mrs. Hudak, we can all advise what you can be taking. So just get in touch with us and we'll be happy to help you.
Great. The Canvas hack, good question. Yeah, no, we were just talking about that today in a meeting. I think those cyber criminals were more interested in our colleagues on the university level than they were about high schools. I think I have caught up with the questions in the chat. believe it or not. Really good questions. And I hope that some of you who were not able to think of one got some answered. But again, if you'd like to turn your camera on, turn your microphone on, we welcome continued questions. But until then, why don't we hear from our department chairs a little bit and maybe talk about what you're looking forward to most in this coming school year. Dr. Toomey, do you want to start?
In the upcoming school year?
Sure.
Yeah, I just classics has been has a history of very strong traditions here at the Hill School. I'd say the thing I'm most excited about is our Greece itinerary, which was just approved for next March. It's our 25th annual trip, so it's a big year for us. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm also looking forward to the group of seniors who are going to be our classics fellows, who are tutors in the library at night. I have a really strong group who are ready to help our incoming, younger students. And I'm also really excited about our what will be our, I think, 5th edition of our academic journal that is called the Hill Classical Review. So we just, we're working with getting our editors in place for that. So students can submit writing that has to do with the ancient world and drawings. And I mean, it's just been, we have a really vibrant community. And I'm just looking forward to, those things in this coming school year. And if you have any questions about any of those things or classics in general, I'd be happy to answer them, and we'll pop my email into the chat. Lots going on next year.
Ms. Lim, what do you think?
Well, we had a robust year in the arts department. Choir went to Carnegie Hall and performed there, and lots of our students went to district, regional, and state level, as well as Eastern region honors choirs. So there was a lot of activity this year. I'm sure next year we will have some really amazing things. I can't reveal it right now, but because we haven't made an announcement to our students yet. But you can look forward to a lot of activities and students auditioning for outside musical opportunities. So that's going to be really great. Some of the parents were asking how many classes students can take. You can take up to 7 classes if the 7th class is non-graded. Is engineering counting as a 7th class, Ms. Kim?
As non-graded. There is a non-graded option.
Okay, so as long as the 7th class is a non-graded class, you could take up to 7. So if students are taking an arts class as a 6th class, they can have a free period. And but a lot of our students are taking up to 7 classes. A lot of our arts students are taking up to 7 classes, and so their days are quite busy. But they enjoy learning and doing a lot of things around campus, as all of us can attest. So it's been great. So yeah, the arts, we have a lot of offerings and lots of exciting things coming up. Trips included, and opportunities outside of school that students can experience once they sign on.
So one
And
thing-
Stephanie? Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
Oh, I was
Yep.
gonna say if that's relevant. You can
Please,
follow
yeah.
up. I can temper my excitement for like within the 1 more minutes. Okay. You sure? All right. Yeah, so in world languages, this is like hot off the press. I just like, I can't contain this excitement, although I would have been able to hold it for 1 more minute, I suppose. But we just got our trip to Spain approved. So that's going to be a really exciting time for us. Our trip to Spain is not nearly as established as the classics trip. But we're really excited to welcome that to our students of Spanish. I will say personally that anyone who's taking Chinese, our Chinese teacher is ready for you. They are so excited about any Chinese students or like students who are studying Chinese coming in. But it's also just a great time to there are so many traditions that we, I think, address throughout the year. Like recently, we had some activities across the school where we did like Dia del Niño. Um, and our director of like equity and inclusion also hosts events. So it's nice to be able to collaborate on, the various celebrations and significant, events throughout the year that tie beyond, or rather go beyond, just the world languages classroom. So lots to look forward to.
Great. Thank you.
That is really exciting.
It
That
really
is
is. It
fantastic.
really is. I did
Yeah,
not know that.
I
That
didn't
is
either.
brand new information to all of us.
Yeah.
Is that trip happening during spring break?
Yes.
Okay. So some trips will be during spring break, some trips will be during winter long weekend. Hint, hint. So
So I apologize, Ms. Dauphiné. What I was going to say before was I see that Mrs. Hudak did post a link to our course catalog and planning guide, but that is a really, really great document. Well, I don't know if it's document anymore, but it is a web presence, I guess I'll say. But it will walk you through all of our course offerings. It gives you descriptions. It provides what classes are graded and non-graded. It will provide you prerequisites. It really is it's a curriculum manual, really. It goes through our graduation requirements, some expectations, GPA. Well, actually, I lie. I don't think it has our grading scale, but it has a lot of academic information that will be very, very helpful and useful as you're thinking through these next couple of weeks as far as course requests and where you see yourself as far as not just this year, but next year, and maybe even 2 years from now. One of the things that we do a lot in the academic office is, through these conversations, we will look, 2 years down the road. And think about where you want to be. If you're a student who does want to try to fit two languages or two arts throughout their 4 years here, it is important to take some time to think about how you're going to meet all your graduation requirements, in addition to doing all of the things that you have a passion for. So
Great.
let me post that again, just.
Yeah. May have missed another Zoom call. You're feeling kind of lost as a third form parent. I understand that. Please email one of us. We can arrange a call and answer any questions you have. We do not want you to feel lost. I understand. I work here and I felt lost as a parent when my children were third formers. So please, I think all of our emails are in the chat. Please reach out to all of us, and we can answer any questions you have and walk you through this process. It'll feel like old hat in no time. It is intimidating. I understand that, but you've got lots of people here to help you. So please don't. There's a saying at Hill, never worry alone, and I like to pass that along to parents as well.
Mrs. Hudak, could you remind us when students and families can hear from our school with their assignments to advisors? Because I think families knowing who their advisors are can probably alleviate a lot of worries, as they get in touch with them.
Yeah. I think that's going to happen around the first or second week of June, that you will be matched with your advisor. Those come out of the admission office.
Right.
And I know that they have made those matches and
Yeah.
are, gearing up to send those out. So it'll be quite soon that you hear who your advisor is, and then your advisor will reach out to you for a one-on-one call and a Q&A and meet and greet. But I was on a call with admission not too long ago, and they did stress the fact that sort of in this gap, if you have questions, please reach out to your admission officer. They have lots of good information for you, and I know you're familiar. That's a good familiar face, and they are more than welcome, more than happy to answer any questions you have, as are the people on this call. So pretty much anyone you reach out to at Hill will, if they can't answer the question themselves, we'll point you in the direction of where your question can be answered.
So I just saw Victoria's question come in about course selections. How does the process work to assign students to a course, whether that's one they selected or not? So it's a great question, Victoria. Thank you. And the way I always like to answer this is I start with kind of a recipe. I start with the 5 core academic areas, right? So we have English, math, science, history, and a language, and then we have arts, right? And so those are where we start because that's, essentially our core, and that is where you're going to start every year. Every year, kids are going to be in an English class. They will most likely, 99% of our students are in, a math class and a science class all 4 years. So that's really where we begin. And then we start to think about, depending on what year they are, just kind of that next step, right? Because it's going to feel different for a 3rd former than it's going to feel for a 5th former. They're preparing for different things. They're placing for different things. We're preparing them for different things. So I don't know if that fully answers your question, but for this first time in, I do like to emphasize conversations will happen, and you and I may talk a lot. Me and your student may talk a lot, just as far as what we're seeing with placements might not necessarily match what you and your student might think or expect. And that will just be a conversation that we talk through as far as where curricularly that makes sense for your son or daughter at that time.
Ms. Kim, there's a good question here. Is there a big rush to register for classes when it opens in terms of space, or can students be confident they will get in as long as they register during the registration window? It's a good question. There is no rush. It's not sort of in 98% of our classes, it is not like a first come, first served scenario. We do have some Singleton upper level. I don't know, Natalia, what grade level you're talking about here. In some of our Singleton
3rd
upper level
form.
courses.
Thank you for
A
answering
3rd
this.
form.
3rd
Okay,
form.
yeah, then there will be there's no rush, and there's no getting closed out of a 3rd form class. Yeah, good question.
It is very, yes, and it is just to piggyback on that. While there is no closing out of a class, it is important for us to know where you're interested, though. So having those course requests in on time does help us to be able to make sure those sections are small enough, I guess. I don't like to say big enough, but we like to keep our sizes small.
I'm scrolling back to make sure that we did not miss anything. We have about 10 minutes left. So I can hardly believe we answered all the questions, but it is, I know that there's so much to consider. There's so much to think about. I think the school has done a very good job recently of streamlining our communications to new families, of making sure that the information is available in a central location. The parent portal, I think, will be a very helpful sort of jumping off point for families to make sure that you have the information that you need. And again, please take advantage of the information in the chat and reach out if you do have other questions. Natalia, did you want to ask
Yeah, it might be easier just to articulate. I'm
Sure.
curious, how to balance, as an incoming 3rd former, not wanting to overload my daughter with. Basically, my question is, how easy is it to switch levels of a class later? Let's say, you start in whatever the regular level of math is. Is it possible to advance later? How hard is it to sort of move up later? Because I think, it's sort of good not to overload at the beginning, but
Yep.
you also don't want to block yourself out of future advancement if that's possible.
Yeah, the link that I have, I'll put it in the chat one more time because I know it can get lost. Is the, oh, did that not? In our course curriculum, it's math in particular is an interesting one to talk about. If you look in our course curriculum under the math, you will be able to see the various courses that we offer. We do not have tracks. So if a student, there are 4 levels in third form math. If a student places into that very highest level, chances are that they will stay in that highest level moving forward. But if they place into a level below that, there is very frequently movement after the third form year. And even if the placement is for some, we do our very best to place students correctly right away. But sometimes, the child underperforms or even overperforms on a placement test, or we have, limited information or faulty information or something, and the placement ends up being incorrect. That we can adjust that, of course. But if they are placed well and really excel, and they want a further challenge their fourth or fifth form year, we support and encourage that. Bo, I don't know if you want to add anything to that.
I will also say, like, our drop add time at the start of the year is also very helpful. It's a lot, it's very flexible, and I will also say our teachers do a phenomenal job. Just, like I said, our classes are small enough that our teachers get to know our students pretty well, pretty quickly and early on. And so if there are concerns as far as placement, either too high or too low, in either direction, we are having those conversations in those first couple of days as well. So we have a lot of students coming through the academic office just by choice. Sometimes, they've changed their mind on an elective or something along those lines. We also have students coming to us because a teacher has encouraged them to go and, take a look or switch levels or something along those lines. But we are a small enough faculty, I think, that we have those great conversations along the way, early and often. So.
Yeah, great. So many good questions. So I think as we begin to wrap up, as Ms. Kim said, I would encourage you to take a look through the Hill curriculum if you have not done so. It's an interesting, just sort of exercise, like thought exercise, to think about all the courses that are available to you or your children, and to start thinking, if you're a third former, maybe a couple years down the road, what you want to maybe one day try to study. I remember when my older daughter was a third former, this was when we still had the paper course curriculum, and she looked up from me, she said, "Mom, I just don't know how I'm going to fit it all in. There's so many cool things to take here." And it was so heartwarming for me as a parent to think that she was that excited about all the interesting and wonderful things we have to offer curricularly here at Hill. And Bo has put the tech support in the chat too. It sounded like there were some people who were having challenges accessing, right? Bo, is that why you did that? Yeah.
Yes, and again, I'm a familiar email, so please feel free to just start with me, and if I can divert you, I will, and if I can answer your question, I am happy to. But yes, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'm here.
Yeah. So take a look at the course curriculum. Keep an eye out for those placement tests that are coming. Try to complete those as efficiently as possible. Make sure you sit yourself down in a nice quiet spot. Give yourself the advantage of having just a clear space and a clear head to take those tests so that we can get some really good data and use those for placement. And again, reach out if you have questions, concerns, and we really look forward to having you here at Hill. I should have said it at the top of the call, but congratulations for your admission here. It's a great place. And we will end with just one more quick word from everyone, what you love best about Hill. Ms. Lim, I'll start with you.
Amazing students.
Great. Dr. Toomey, what do you think?
Yeah, it's the people, students, and my colleagues.
Ms. Dauphiné? Yeah, I know.
I
Yeah, you gotta
it's,
come up with
it's
something.
not bringing anything new, but the community, I think you just, we go by like the family boarding school and you just really feel that here.
Mhm. Ms. Kim, what
Yeah,
do you got?
I just have to echo it all, and it really does take a village some days. It's a great place. I just can't say enough.
That's really great. All right. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight. Can't say it enough. Reach out if you have further questions, and cannot wait to see you on campus in a couple months. Good night.
Good night.
All.
Hang on. Let's stop recording.